Hi, I'm going to just talk about assignment two for the fatigue management plan proposal. So, like, sometimes the term key stakeholders is going to be very different in different companies. So, if you're doing a clinic, there's going to be like doctors involved or like whoever the highly trained specialists would be in that clinic. So, you probably want their feedback on what's going on, right? For a company, like, because you're just a health and safety consultant, it could be any industry really. Um, any industry or any sort of business or government agency, really, from that description. So you have to go over a basic overview. I would recommend going over a company that you worked for, but just change the name. Obviously, that's what your background is, and you'll know how that industry works a lot more than others. Like, I would pick a factory because that's where I worked. Um, So then make up a factory, or in my case, or make up a hospital, make up a construction company, like wherever you've worked, kind of think that through. College, give lots and lots of organizations hire health and safety consultants. So pick one, could be a town even. So brief overview of fictional company, assessment, identify fatigue risk considerations to workplacing. So it depends. Is there shift work? Are the shifts long? Is there conditions where it's really hot? Like, is it work repetitive? Like, there's tons of things, pretty much the course. So what things from the course would you identify as being or high risk for fatigue? And then what's your policy proposal? So again, this is quite common in health and safety. You are identifying a problem. What's your solution, right? So what's the purpose of the policy? What's the rationale for having a company policy? You know what I mean? So do people need more time off in between shifts? Is there caps on how many shifts people can work a month? Is there caps on like what's your goal with this, right? Go over what training opportunities are planned. In real life, this is where it gets kind of complicated because if you want to train 100% of the organization in a realistic time, that's probably going to shut your organization down, right? So you need to figure out, like, is there going to be overtime? Who, when, and what, how, when, like all the key things listed there. Who's going to be involved in the training? Like, who puts on the training? Is it you? Is it a contractor? Where is it? Like, are you doing it at Hull? Are you doing it like, does the facility have a lunchroom that you're going to do it in? How long is the training going to be? When is it the next 6 months? Is this a 2 year program? Is this going to be part of new orientations? There's many, many questions that you could answer with this. Other considerations, this is going to be pretty company specific because, like, are people going to log in? Like, if you haven't ever seen this, SASM has a detector. This is the SASM app. Just take a look at this, like alert meter. So this could be a solution that you do the training on, and then you explain to workers why we're doing this. And like, this is kind of designed for factory work where people are fatigued. I don't believe it's part of the course, but like, this is just a solution that one could um, provide. And then obviously you're going to need training, explanation, a budget, all that to implement, and not just like, this is a good idea, right? Like, so to implement a program, you need a lot of detail, or else you're not going to get buy-in from the stakeholders, aka ownership management. If you're working for government, like the senior managers or whoever's signing the check, really. So this would just be one really quick example of the solution that I mentioned. Um, Protocol for fatigue, like what happens if people are exhausted and an incident does occur, like something gets damaged, like the train example in the course, I think would be an extreme one, but I mean, people make a lot of mistakes for that. Is the worker responsibility for being tired, or is the supervisor, is the manager, is like, who's responsible for the system? Would be some of the things that you could talk about. Again, use course material. Summarize the proposed next steps for the organization related to the fatigue management. So again, like, after you do this initial training, what's the follow up? So a good thing you always can think of is, for a lot of things, safety courses. So I'm not like reinventing the wheel. Uh, See the joke, reinvent the wheel. But like, plan, do, check, act. So this is most common way organizations figure out if it does well, right? So you're talking about doing the planning, you book the training with people, you do the training, you check, are there less fatigue related incidents? If the training didn't work, do you need to do a different type of training, a different type of program? Like, check the results. Like, your program should have a defined benefit, or people will be like, what was the point of that, right? And then learn from your mistakes. As we all make mistakes, you learn from them and move on. And then implement the best solution. And then, are we doing this training every year, every 6 months, every 2 years, every 3 years with orientations, right? So you did your initial run of training. I'm sure you got feedback. And then how do you make it better? And how do you keep your program going? Because most organizations, they'll do like a blitz to start new training, and then it'll kind of like peter off pretty quick. And then people are like, didn't we take fatigue training? And then the person that was hired like 2 years ago was like, I never had fatigue training, right? So that kind of mindset of like the plan, do, check, act, and it repeats itself over and over again. So I borrowed Mind Tools tool here eventually. And that is pretty much the assignment. Have references of where you got the ideas, some basic mistakes I found with previous times I've taught this course. A lot of people don't have any graphics on the PowerPoints. They have very boring slides, like there's no graphics and there's also no real background. And then conversely, something else is like the slides are too busy, and some other people's where there's way too many graphics, way too much words on there, and there's way too much like weird colors that are hard to read. So you kind of want to have it basic to read, like especially from a distance, or if people are colorblind, they can't see what's up there. So those are some thoughts, like basic thoughts on there. How to do the PowerPoint is another video. Hopefully that provides some clarity to people. Thanks. Bye.